Hey guys, just a quick note before we get started. First of all, brand new microphone. I think it sounds quite good. I got it from Stardust, so give him a subscribe or a follow on Twitter if you can. I think this mic is amazing. Anyway, I just wanted to talk to you about this video. So this is one of two Christmas specials. I know it's being uploaded early, but the delivered one's being uploaded late, so I might as well, stagger them out. And I just wanted to say that this is actually the first video that got previewed by a studio audience. Basically, this was a request from my grandmother to make a report on my favorite Christmas song, and she would show it, or rather, I would have to present it to my family when we went over there. I decided to make a video because I wanted to show off to them what I actually do, because they don't really have a frame of reference because they're not gamers and whatever, so they don't watch my stuff. So I figured I'd make them something to watch and something that I could, explain what I do. The mic in this video isn't as good as I wish it was. I wish I had waited to make it until I had this mic, but I mean, it doesn't matter now. It's finished and I'm quite proud of it, actually. So yeah, this is actually the first video with a preview of a live audience. So I just figured I'd tell you the story behind this and why it's a bit different from what I normally make. But I think you'll enjoy it nonetheless. So without further ado, let's start the video.
Believe is a song that ends one of the greatest holiday films ever created. The Polar Express is among Nightmare Before Christmas, the original Rudolph film, some of the best that the holiday film genre has to offer. At least in the eyes of my generation and the one after and previous mine. One cursory glance at the internet will show that time and time again, this movie is hailed as a masterpiece and far ahead of its time, both in writing and its mastery of CG or computer-generated animation. People have nostalgia for this movie that's strong. In turn, radio stations play songs from the film even today. While pretty much any song from the film would feel right at home among the current Christmas lineup on modern radio stations, Believe, a song often associated with the credits of the film, is often the song of choice. Why is that? Well, personally, it's because I think it fully encompasses the film's message in its runtime. How? Good question. Oh, wait, you didn't ask, did you? Whatever, let's do this. This bit of musical genius was brought to us by Josh Groban. He's apparently famous for his cover of You Raise Me Up in 2003. Believe was composed before the score. It had to have been, as the melody can be heard throughout the film's score as a leitmotif. Quick explanation. A film score is the instrumentals that play to set the mood, not the songs and lyrics. And a leitmotif is a section of music that represents a movie, game, or even a stage play. For example, the Imperial March notes is often heard alongside Darth Vader in Star Wars, even if the actual song titled The Imperial March is not heard in that specific moment. Anyway, Believe is a song that the creative team decided to represent the movie, even if the quote-unquote main theme, that's so much more upbeat and arguably represents the movie's overall tone better. Again, why is that? Well, it's like I said earlier, this music kind of goes through the movie's themes in one fell swoop. Polar Express is about a kid struggling with the thought of whether or not there is a Santa Claus. How science, facts, and logic don't line up. Spoiler alert for a movie you've all seen, and probably seen so many times in the 17 years it's been out, but he goes on increasingly intense and wacky adventures, all the while learning that life is much more magical than he thought. All this culminates in a visit with Santa, where the boy receives the first gift of Christmas, a bell directly from Santa's sleigh. Now here's where Believe comes into the picture. Starting with the song's namesake, the chorus, there's one segment I'd like to highlight, the portion near the end that goes, "Believe in what you feel inside and give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything that you need if you just believe." This reflects the message the young man had learned in the movie. He learned that in order to get the answers he was seeking, he had to believe. The rest would come in time. All things considered, with how bombastic the movie is, I'm sure he had to believe in the people around him to keep him alive during the more intense sequences. For this next point, I want you to think about the word fantasy. What comes to mind when you hear it? Maybe it's a knight clad in green with only a fairy to guide him through the trials and tribulations. Maybe it's a caravan of many traveling across the land in search of something. Maybe it's a big fish transporting people from one place to another. Maybe it's a group of sailors following a star to get to their destination. How this relates to the song is a part of the second verse, and it isn't what you might think. Are you ready? Well, here it is. Trains move quickly to their journey's end. Destinations are where we begin again. Ships go sailing across the sea, trusting starlight to get where they need to be. Fantasy has already happened, and it's happening even still right before our eyes. If people from 1,000 years ago saw what we've created and accomplished, I'm sure that they would think that we were witches and warlocks. But no, once again, this mirrors the frankly absurd journey that the boy goes through, in which he witnesses what he was questioning with his own 2 eyes. Now this connects back to my personal taste of the song. When I was a kid, I watched this movie religiously, every year, and even year-round. It was basically my favorite thing. Of course, I had great nostalgia for Polar Express and Believe as works of art, but if I only had that to say, trust me, I wouldn't have gone through the trouble of breaking down even a little bit of musical genius. I would have just opened with that. As a kid, I liked the song because of the movie, and because of a point I'll touch on in a second. As an adult, those 2 reasons still stand, but something I came to appreciate about the song when I was making this video was the thematic through line that I just talked about. The song complements the movie as much as the movie complements the song, and that's accomplished all without making them dependent on each other. You can experience one without the other. Not to mention, it's just a good song. This is the other aspect I mentioned before. The instrumentation matches the whimsical nature of the film. To illustrate the point, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite video games, Metroid Zero Mission. Shortly after you start the game, you're asked to go even lower into the caves of planet Zebes, and to the lair of the insidious Kraid. Immediately, you're hit with a deep chord to the theme of Lower Brinstar. What do you get from this song? What does it sound like? Well, here's what I and many others get from it. Those looping notes at the start almost seem waltz-like. If I were to number the notes and group them by their pitch and tempo, it'd be something like 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 5. Essentially, the notes ebb and flow. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, ending with a finale of sorts. This is mirrored in the gameplay of Kraid's fight. Both in Zero Mission and in the game it's remaking, Kraid has a pattern like this. In the original Metroid, Kraid will fire projectiles when moving back and forth, with a pattern that we just discussed, but in reverse, 1 step forward and 2 back. In Zero Mission, Kraid's fight means rhythmically coaxing him into opening his mouth and firing. While this isn't as literal as his original incarnation, it's still a part of that pattern, especially since you also have to mind his projectiles to not get hit. You dance with Kraid to win, and the music of his lair is very rhythmic to reflect that. Believe reflects the movie's feel masterfully, while still sounding like a finale. The warbling woodwinds, belling tubas, swelling violins, and the soft bells alone create a whimsical, fantastical atmosphere. And whether or not that sounds good as objective, I still think that they all lend themselves to a very good song already. However, Josh Groban's singing enhances the already masterful framework. Even though I was a very young kid, I recognized how good this song was, and it's the sole reason why I stuck with it all these years. Nostalgia can only go so far. Not only are the lyrics well performed, but they're also well written, with covert nods to the film with like what I mentioned in the chorus, along with more overt references such as the line that mentions trains. The lyrics are probably my favorite part of the song, and that's been true for years. Can't really say how long that's been the case, but I know for a fact it's been a while. On top of the high caliber of writing, his voice complements the feel of the song very well, and overall it's nice to listen to. With that, I've dissected this wonderful song. Believe is by far my favorite Christmas song, and no matter how many times I hear it, I stop whatever I'm doing to give it a listen. In fact, I listen to the majority of the script writing process. With that, that's all I got. I guess I'll see you guys next time. Take care, guys. Merry Christmas.